Thank you, and thank you for joining in early in the morning. And I'm so happy to have you all here. Thank you, and thank you all, to all the panelists here for being there. This is our first session or first event in Insurtech. I'm so happy that all of you are here and guiding us. So I think the topic is obviously usage of AI and how the journeys can improve, the process can improve, underwriting can improve, and there's a lot of data point. I think just the previous session we heard Kamlesh sir speaking about how they are using AI in different journeys and processes. So again, I'm just thinking that it's best to give to the experts here. So Rohit, from your perspective, given that you work a lot, I mean, you're predominantly in your current role leading the transformation in one of the biggest and the best life insurance company in the country. I think it'll be good for us to understand your perspective on AI usage in life insurance business, and of course, anything else you would want to speak about. Opening remarks from your side.
Hi. So I think AI is not a. I think it's a. We've been speaking about it for so long and for so long. It's nothing magical, right? So it's straightforward. It is part of our business. It's part of our lives. It's on our phones. Admit it or not, it's there everywhere, even in this room, right? So it's everywhere. So first, let's drop the mythical thing around AI. It's everywhere. One, from an industry standpoint, I think we've been trying to look at AI in multiple ways, trying to leverage and solve our problems, specifically industry problems, either to fitting the right customer to the right product, or it is to enabling our sales channels, or looking at how we are driving our underwriting using AI models, or looking at fraud management, and if beyond that, looking at claims specifically, how we are utilizing claims, how we are processing the claims going forward. So there is a complete value chain around where we are using AI. We look at the use cases based on the bang for the buck, like in any part of the technology. It could be AI, it could be ML, it could be Gen AI, and now moving towards agentic AI. These are all parts of our standard technology stack that we look at to solve specific business problems from an insurance industry standpoint.
And maybe a quick point, where to start, maybe, because a lot of people, you have already done that work. Maybe just quick point on where do you start this journey if somebody has not started?
So I think it requires a very focused effort to look at how do you define the business case for artificial intelligence program, right? It is because it cannot be incremental. If you're looking at incremental business cases for artificial intelligence, your returns you will not be able to get the ROI, right? As I often say, if you're picking up a document summarization use case for artificial intelligence, you will not get the business bang for the buck at all, right? It will just give you a summary document. It will not be able to drive specific value for you to move ahead. So that's where we are from our standpoint. So the business case evaluation for AI has to be very specific. It cannot be incremental, one. Number two, we'll have to look at the stack for AI in a manner which is sustainable going forward, right? A lot of people do plethora of POCs on Gen AI, right? But those POCs have to be sustainable when we go forward, right? So we have to look at the sustainability of costs of maintaining those animals, if I have to say that, right, in the cages that they need to be. Yeah.
Thank you. So Deepak, from your perspective, again, we have a diversity here, right? So he's coming from life and you are coming from general. So I think where do you see the AI getting adopted? And maybe there's a higher and faster adoption there. And just an experience on how it is working out.
Yeah, check. Okay, firstly, I'm going to have to agree, AI is not magic. If there is one piece of tech that's moved beyond pilot the fastest is generative AI. There are two scaling laws that I track. There's one which is the rate of pace of tech, which is, as we know, is exponential. The other is the rate of, pace of organizational readiness, right, which is typically logarithmic. It's 1x, 2x, 3x. And, tech, as we know, is exponential. But I think when it comes to generative AI, I think the organizational readiness is right up there. I think everybody is hungry, starting from the board to senior management, to business heads, business leaders asking for generative AI to be well embedded into their business processes. That's a refreshing change that we see. Taking a step back from, Samir, you asked about general insurance business. General insurance is about, let's say, 3 lakh crores of premium, right, that we write. It's an altogether different matter. 99% of that money goes back to the customer because, there's very little headroom. We have head above the water only because, people in the insurance business have smarter, investment officers and, they figure out the place, right? So that's the only way we are able to keep our head above water and make a little bit of money. As I see it, I think a lot of insurance companies are, and the plays on generative AI is on two places. One on the underwriting side, I think, we heard the previous speakers, talk about smarter underwriting processes, standardization of products, ease of, use and file, which the regulator has come up with. So that's one aspect. I think recently there is a usage-based insurance that the regulator has, encouraged all the insurance companies to do. So typically we can price premium based on when you drive, if at all you drive, right? Which is very different from just providing flat premiums for the car that you drive on the roads. Post-pandemic, there is also a lot of consumer awareness on health premiums. The 5 lakh cover that we have on hospitalization is not good enough. One claim and then it can wipe your entire savings, and we know the kind of medical inflation that the industry is seeing, really double digit, and there is a question of affordability and so forth. So I think one area is very clearly hyper personalization. I know it's a bit jargonated, but there are products and there are companies that have these usage-based products and they use good AI tech to solve it. Either consumers declare how many kilometers they drive. There are options for consumers to top up, and then there is the premium range play that we offer to consumers. The second one is a little more mature, which is on the claims side, right? Typically, insurance is intermediated. Insurance is also fraud prone. I don't want to go there, but I'm just saying that there are soft frauds. Consumers do misrepresent. Agents do misrepresent, and Ashish and I were talking about it offline. So can we use AI to smartly run through, let's say an accident image, and then it can look up at a vector database and tell you whether a claim is admissible or not admissible. So very clearly, Samir, as I see it, on the underwriting side, there are very good use cases. There are real products out there in the market. Consumers are getting much more aware. On the claim side as well, insurance also, we are not charity. We need to make a little bit of margins. So there is an employment of AI technologies to be able to, pay right claims. Right? So those are two big drivers of AI in the general insurance business as I see it. Thank you.
Deepak, I think this is a great, I'll come back to you with the next question next time. But Ashish, actually, I'll give you a very honest answer. I thought video and linkage to insurance, and then I kept on thinking that there are so many places where AI and video can help, right? I think the way Lemonade was checking the fraud possibility based on expression. So maybe you can quickly give us a perspective on how video AI and intelligence can help insurers. So any perspective on that side will be very, very useful for us.
Yeah, sure. One point is that, all businesses and the industry is actually solving for the end consumer, right? And they have to understand insurance as a concept way better than they do. I think Kamlesh spoke about it in pretty much at an industry level. And insurance in India is still 1%, right? You just said that. So what are these 99% people who don't have any general insurance understand about the value of their health or value of their life? Or are they just buying motor insurance to avoid the cops? I mean, these concepts, ultimately, the entire world is watching only reels and shorts. And what we believe is, from agent mis-selling to the entire penetration problem which the industry is about to solve for next 15 years for Viksit Bharat or whichever way, half the industry players that we work with really want to solve these problems. But the limitation that exists in the way we communicate about insurance today, 20 pages of PDF, is just not helping them. And what we believe is the amount of use cases that we've just seen in the last 1 year, we have pivoted to insurance as a company. So, I mean, while videos are used everywhere in the world, we believe that insurance is one segment where the amount of use cases is so diverse and the problems can be solved using video AI so much that, today, millions of video views are happening just for a guy to understand a Swiggy bike rider in Kolkata watching a video about how the 2,000 rupees that they are paying for bike insurance is not just to avoid the cops, right? And in Bengali, and it's to essentially provide them for a cover which they can use for during accident. This is not understood. So, I mean, while backend systems will definitely get smarter with AI, I think you spoke a lot about how we create a full stack. What we are trying to create is a full journey of experience for this last mile Indian, where inclusivity, reach, access to understand these concepts is way difficult. And 5 years ago, video was completely unimaginable as a concept because the costs were too high. AI has reduced the cost sharply so much. The language penetration and barrier in Indian dialects, diaspora, multilinguality has gone up too well. And there's billions and billions being poured to solve this problem even further. And what we believe is a lot of the Gen AI and the other AI will ultimately end up being audiovisual, right? I mean, that's the way humans interact.
Fair. And honest answer is that if I look at the lending business where we've worked a lot in improving lending journeys, insurance is different, right? Because every product is different. There you are looking at a person and his or her ability to pay. Here you are looking at different products, right? You can be insuring for your life. You can be insuring for the event itself, right? Something happens, and then you are talking about national calamity or I don't know what all. So it's very different business. But Sandeep, from your perspective, how insurers can build these stacks? And I heard from Kamlesh sir as well that they're partnering with the ecosystem to build this. They are not always building it on their own. Some is with the relationship. So with the Insurtechs. So how do you think players like you can help? And what are the areas you have been able to scale up the platform? I mean AI platforms for these organizations. What use case? So bit of a brief on that will be useful.
Yeah, sure. So thank you very much. So one thing I agree that, AI is nothing magic, but it is actually something which is accelerating the business outcomes. So one thing is like, if you are manufacturing tire, suddenly by adopting AI, you don't start manufacturing cars. It's still like tire manufacturing. So one thing what we need to understand here is that what is growing today more is data. And what is very important is more insights from the data. And the insights which has now grown beyond the human, capability. So as a data scientist, even if I have to build a statistical analysis and modeling, I'm working on petabyte of data. So it's very difficult. So at the bottom layer, what we call as AI are the tools. And what science we apply on data is data science. And as a data scientist, we use these tools. So just learning these tools and learning to use these tools is not going to solve the, adoption of AI in longer period. What we need to understand is to apply the right science. Now, when we are doing this entire journey of AI adoption in 2020, and we were hands-on doing that for ML, that point of time, Gen AI was not there. The challenges, what we saw was, too many moving parts of technologies. high level of integration. There were a lot of tools available, but to try and pilot and POCs, trying a tool normally gives a confidence that tool is working, not getting into the production. And getting into the production actually is a full cycle. You need to work on the data. When we say data, it's not bringing the data together, but actually engineering the data in a way that it is clean. There are no outliers. There are no biases in that. Then at that point of time, you actually work on exploratory data analysis, which actually you build a lot of statistical analysis and modeling on the data and prepare the data. And that's where your journey started to build the model. Many times we start building models. Models are a very small part of this entire AI journey. Those are just the algorithm. But algorithm without proper data engineering and exploratory data analysis are not in a right context of delivering the use case. So it's a huge cycle. And that's where we are seeing that today enterprises are struggling in getting into the production, not only insurance, everywhere. Is not because of the talent or the tools, but because of putting these things entirely together and having confidence to go in production. And that's what we are seeing, that more and more services and solution is driving a need to have a platform. It's like an operating system of AI. So our journey started building a vision of operating system of AI, and that's where we are seeing that how easily not only adopting, but we can accelerate the AI adoption for enterprises. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandeep. So, Prasad, I think everybody equates Perfios to a lot of work on the banking side, right? And you've obviously ventured into insurance segment as well, and of course you've acquired companies, and a lot of good work is happening there. So it'll be good for us to understand how your platforms, or from a AI use case perspective, how identity or fraud management, where exactly is the place where you can help, and what kind of use cases you see really going to fruition as well?
Sure, thanks. Hi, everyone. As Perfios, we are working across the life cycle, right, from onboarding to underwriting to claims. And we have added AI capabilities. No, as you said, it is normal. Only thing is it is accelerating the way we are able to utilize information. Whereas traditionally, say for example, whether it is underwriting or during claims, if I have to profile the customer or profile the claim event, the amount of cross-referencing information that I need is significant. Say for example, if it is whether it is the demographic details of the customer, whether it is the financial details, whether it is the health details of the customer, correlating that with past trends, correlating that with market data, and be able to arrive at a decision while highlighting what are the anomalies, right? Now this, in the traditional sense, it was a huge engineering task to be able to get to that level and get access to the data, be able to massage that, be able to make it usable. Whereas now with the data infrastructure that we have built, it has become much easier. Same thing with claims, right? So one of our major areas is with health. And there we were able to fine-tune our own models with the health data. So that actually helped us get better results with respect to identifying health anomalies, being able to, even whether it is with underwriting or claims, being able to summarize the entire temporal data, or temporal health data, so medical records across the time, and be able to identify exactly where the risks are. Okay, so these are adjacent use cases. So while it's operationally, we are doing whatever automation that is there, but with AI, what has changed is the way we are able to utilize multiple pieces of information together, whether it is market data or even data from WHO, for example, and be able to arrive at a decision in a much better explainable way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So,
I think the way our panelists are speaking, insurance, and I am very happy to note that insurance companies are going to be data companies in future. And that is where it will lead to for all of us. We have to understand that. That involves a whole lot of effort in terms of data engineering, data cleansing, creating the data platforms to harness models, if we have to build models, because they will be useless without that. And then ensuring that the data privacy is also maintained on top of that. So all this has to be done, and unless and until we are able to tie this up to the entire stack, engineering to privacy, the entire stack, we will not be able to utilize any of the so-called good models, right, of AI or Gen AI.
Thank you.
I
Thank
just
you,
thought
Rohit.
I'll just put in a thought.
Thank you. I think we are all going towards it, right? I remember maybe 10, 15 years back in banking industry, you will look at a CTO, and CTO is like a technical, let me use a bad word, sidekick, right? Reporting to CFO, reporting to CEO, reporting to somebody else, and always tier 2 or tier 3 leader. I think we are in the world where CIOs and maybe all the key leaders in this side, on tech side, also are critical to the whole transformation, and some of them are turning out to be next level CEOs as well. So I think world has turned around, right? I think we could see it, but it's now happening. So Rohit, from your perspective, I think when we look at AI cases, and this is what I gave an example in the morning as well, the thought process is that how do we get sales out? Okay. It is like, how do I do onboarding out? And I had a session with a huge crowd in one point of time, where out of 70 or IT leaders were there. I'm not about juniors, leaders were there. And only one was focused on claims, right? Rest all were focused on everything else. So critical part, and which is critical part when you are looking at life. So from your perspective, how do you ensure that AI use cases are really powerful and useful from a customer perspective, from a long-term trust, and when their needs come, they are serviced at that point of time well, right? So it's just about not just onboarding, which is where the automation will happen, or AI will be used, but on a continuous way, so that, let's say, for example, tomorrow, the customer does well, so that rates go down, all of that. Otherwise, it's just a steep curve. So how do you think that AI can help in getting power to them?
No, so there are two parts to it. One is onboarding and claims, right? Let's look at both sides one by one. From the onboarding side, I think it's important to look at how much peripheral data you can collect from the customer, direct data, primary data you can collect from the customer, and understand him better to give him the right product. That's the first part of it, right? If you're able to do that, how often do you engage with him to ensure that your data is recent with the customer, right? You keep him engaged, because in insurance industry, most of a customer is your customer for 20 to 25 years, and that's I think after government this will be the largest. I'm not sure, but yeah, after government it will be the largest. 20 to 25 years, he's your customer. So how do you keep engaged with him to ensure that you keep... A lot of people forget. They forget they have an insurance policy. There are a lot of times you would have an insurance policy with your home loan. You wouldn't even know it. That's the challenge on the onboarding side. And we need to ensure that we keep engaging with them so as to keep getting the data from. On the claim side, again, the issues let's put issues within our sphere of control, some things which are outside our sphere of control. Issues which are outside our sphere of control are things like the government documentation which is required at claims, right, is sometimes not available, right? That becomes a challenge. But if it is available, it can be one touch. If your nominee is not clearly identified, right, his KYC details are not already identified, the claims are going to take time. At that point of time, we have to ensure that we are able to actually go ahead and give you that extra support. It has to be an assisted process to go ahead and claim them. From a technology standpoint, what this means is we have to ensure that we are able to reach out to you smoothly. one. Number two, we are able to collect that data. If there is an iteration, that friction has to be brought down, either at onboarding side or at claim side, both sides. And then we use certain tools around Vision AI, for example, and pick up the information and do not ask for duplicate information from the customer multiple times. So that's the friction that you bring down.
I just want to add a small line. 86 to 87% people in a small survey we ran don't even recall the brand that they have bought the insurance from. So look at this. I mean, they do not know where they have bought their insurance policies from. How many of you would recall what is your motor insurance? Everybody would have a car probably or a bike. So how would exactly recall, if you have not taken a claim in the recent time, which brand have you bought your motor insurance policy from? We're talking about engagement, right? Customers don't even recall the brands.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think, Deepak, we will now move towards more governance, controls, and all of that. So when we do this framework and AI and all of that, what kind of governance will happen, right? Otherwise, I'll not give an example directly, but whenever enablement happens, something else is done immediately, right? To ensure that kuch aur hi ho jaye, right? Somebody was telling that AI करने के बाद data, I mean governance का issue आएगा when we will have DPT पे, can we work on Excel to manage the data? So we'll not put in the system, but we'll use Excel. So I mean, so how do you do governance in these complicated areas, and how do you ensure that from a long-term perspective, as more and more regulations come in, we are still able to sustain without getting into wrong side?
I think governance, risk, compliance, because we are all in the regulated business, is extremely key. Nothing is going to change. I see clearly companies establishing AI offices, which can overlook or supervise, what are the models that are running, what are the versions of the models that are running, how many APIs into, let's say, an open source LLM, what are your backtesting methods, where are your training models, what is the last time a training model was trained. So all of that, and audit log, traceability, I can go on and on. I think the level of documentation that one would expect if you're using both classical AI and generative AI, I think it's going to increase, given the fact that we are regulated, we are open for audit, and auditors are also becoming more tech savvy and more independent. So we can't really manage audits anymore. I think that it's important that an AI office and a supervisory layer to make sure that these documentation is in place is going to play a very crucial role as I see it. The second thing that I'm seeing is AI governance will not just involve tech leaders. It will involve, let's say, business leaders. It will involve, legal heads, for example. It will involve some of the claim heads who are, technical in nature, because it's not always just tech, right? It's about explainability. So even if you look at classic underwriting of lending, for example, the rules of underwriting has to be explainable to an auditor. Similarly, here also the rules of explainability apply because this is algorithmic and it's not, human-made. So again, extremely critical emerging area. I'm pretty sure Digital Fifth will, it's a white space for Digital Fifth to sort of just, take Kabza over and advise the industry. But like I said, we are in the regulated business. There's no way we can sidestep it.
No, I agree. I think, a lot of times when we start any engagement, we start with regulations first and compliance first. So a lot of people get upset, yaar, kya important, kya baad mein dekh lenge. So I think we've learned this hard way, that not a single point in time we can do anything which is outside the compliance. Otherwise, what's the point? We got a license and we can't mess with it, right?
So I just want to add a point to that. We are already seeing this AI compliance as one of the steps before onboarding, similar to, because we are service providers to insurance companies, and mainly in a lot of the MNC insurance, we have, there is a AI compliance council, and similar to how we go through InfoSec certification, we are also going through AI compliance certification for each of them.
Interesting you said that, Prasad. I think the credit is due to the government. There is a very good NIST AI ML framework. There is a good white paper from RBI on AI ML ops models. There is an IRDA draft guideline document. The councils, I think Kamlesh spoke about it, he's part of the council. The council, I know, is working on, you know, some regulatory framework. So I think the thinking and the leadership thought process is there. The execution needs to sort of catch up.
No, perfect. I think, Ashish, from your perspective, we spoke about what use cases, but maybe in each of these cases, for example, one of the problem statement I always had was you talk about persistency and communication, and people don't know about the insurance. I'll give you an example. Both my insurers who have been with me for 20 years, when I've taken life and I've taken property, has never messaged me. Even at point of renewal, I get a cold message, whatever that SMS comes. If I miss, they don't call. Maybe they want me to get over with it, or they may want me to forget it, right? So I think from your perspective, in these complicated use cases, how AI can help communication, transparency, customer experience, anything which you think can really take it to the next level?
Yeah, thanks. I think you spoke about persistency, and HDFC Life here has the highest persistency ratio in the industry, 89%. And what they do is essentially not just the 30 SMS and 50 phone calls that you receive during the renewal time, but there is this hyper-personalized video going before the renewal period, talking about how your ULIP performance has been. What is your ULIP distribution? How can you adjust a ULIP distribution into your video? And that's been shot by Prasoon. So, I mean, the method to renew is changing. It's become more informative, more open, more educating. Most people, we did a survey again to understand how many ULIP life insurance buyers essentially understand that they can readjust their portfolios. They don't. I mean, it's a very complicated subject. I mean, I didn't before that time. So, so when we were working with HDFC Life, we did a very lengthy process to understand how do we explain it in a very simple manner to the consumer. So persistency is not just about जाके renew कर लो, but क्यों renew करना चाहिए? Why are they sticking for 20 years with a company? What is the value that the company is bringing? What is the value of service, value of the entire understanding of the concept that the brand is bringing to the consumer, right? So, I mean, that method is changing from just sending more SMS and phone calls to trying to engage with the user during the 365 days from purchase of the insurance policy to the renewal of what are the various steps that you can slowly educate the customer, make them more aware, understand the fine print of the policy details in a very, very simplistic manner. So I think we're seeing a lot of change there. The persistency outcomes in such situations we've seen, you spoke about business outcome, right? And ultimately, everything has to be done profitably. And we've seen that there's huge impact in terms of business outcomes when you start communicating and engaging with the user instead of just throwing them information.
Okay, thank you. So, Sandeep, from your perspective, how do you put up a structure or platforms where the model balances obviously the explainability side, and again you can go on operational side, how people can do it, right? Because I think not more than 10% of people out here may have done this exercise in real world, right? There'll be minor here and there cases, but in the real world, because the risks are very high. Let's say claims can be processed incorrectly, or on underwriting can go wrong. And companies can even suffer massive losses because of it, or the customer is negated as well, both ways. So how do you ensure that they can be done in right ways? What's your thought?
Yeah, so we spoke about few of the use cases. One thing we need to understand, these use cases are already running in the insurance companies. Most of them are rule-based right now. And what everybody is looking at, augmenting the AI capability to make it much more, predictive and probably much more effective. Now, in this process, one of the challenge what we are seeing that why most of the people are not able to take it till production is a fragmented way of doing AI. It's a very fragmented at this point of time. Like identifying particular tool, identifying particular, data sets, preparing data sets in isolation. Most of the heavy lifting happens at data engineering side. Model comes too much later on top of that. Second is that everybody is looking at what next. If I have built a use case, what next for the second use case? Do I have to go through the same pipeline again and again for 3, 4, 5 months? Or whether I can reuse few things which is specifically for my enterprise landscape or my landscape. Third thing is that most of the organizations and the team in the organization is leading AI with a particular product. No offense to anyone, but what is happening is adding AI capability to a particular product is always a capability. It cannot be core AI which gets into your enterprise landscape. So your vision, your roadmap will always stick to that particular product for AI. You need to have those products as an ecosystem of AI, not as a driving AI strategy for you, because this is a long-term strategy of next 15 to 20 years. And that is where what happens, everybody is building it in isolation. However, if you have multiple tools and if you can build them together and take it into the production, that would be a different thing, but it's like building Red Hat Enterprise Linux by downloading the open source code. You don't want to become an operating system company. So when you start building these things, everything has to be connected real time. Very important thing is your CI/CD and DevOps capability has to be at the underline. We should not forget that actually enterprise architecture and solution are the foundation of this entire AI success. You just can't have AI in the air and you don't have that entire learning, experimenting and going into the production coming into this. So whenever you are building something for enterprise, it has to be enterprise grade. It has to ensure that it goes in production, it stays in production. Real game of AI, like any other thing, starts from production, not till production. Till production, it's fun. So we need to build that way. Hence, it is very important to see that how these things are integrated properly, how real-time things are there, how you scale with use case while your cost curve is coming down. This is very important, like reusing of the features. You store the features, you don't go back to the data store, you reuse the features so that your every use case, time to production and cost to production is coming down. Last point I would like to highlight here in a very interesting conversation with one of the CIO of life insurance company. They said that there is a no-man land, basically, between the business processes and the technology. And what does that mean? For example, if as a CEO of insurance company, I want my policy closure rate in call center to increase by 20%, what does that mean? How we build it? That is where everybody talks about use case, but these use cases are nothing but the processes. If you break down that statement of business purpose into the processes which are required, it could be propensity, it could be lead score, it could be call center sentiment analytics. All these processes which are relating to the statement of business purpose becomes your use case. And if you have to build this use case, you need to have a very sustainable real-time pipe or platform or framework which can continuously build this so that once your sentiment is negative, propensity by itself score in isolation means nothing, right? It has to be continuously identified and what needs to be corrected. That is where we think that a drive for platform is inevitable in coming times, and the modularity of the platform is a necessity. It has to be open standard way. It has to be in a way that it can build a stronger ecosystem, not a vendor lock-in. It should not be a vendor lock-in at all. It should be a choice, power of innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandeep. I think vendor lock-ins are normal. The no man's land, I'll pick up those questions. So no man's land is normal. I'm actually, I remember, and I'm sort of a bit old in that ecosystem, right? It's been almost 9-10 years I exited as a CIO role. But I still remember that when we would do mobile banking, people say, "Ye technology ka kaam hai, everything is normal. Finical ka front end test kar sakte hain, but we can't check that." Then we moved to a API era, right? Even today, I think API testing is a disaster in many places where people don't know how to do it. I remember a product manager was telling me that I shouldn't be doing it. ये postman थोड़ी check कर सकती हूँ. ये मेरा काम थोड़ी मेरे IQ के नीचे है, right? And now you have AI testing. Now AI का UAT कैसे होगा, right? Those use cases this is real problem, right? Because if you don't showcase, don't validate, and then we'll do some limited data entry, right? Even in API test cases, why things go wrong is that we do very limited testing and we go live. We met customers who, after going live, they're doing UAT on production, okay? Because business will say, no, पहले नहीं किया तो क्या करूँ? मुझे पता ही नहीं था. We don't know, right? And then AI. So, but I'll keep it that park. I think the difference is real. Technology can arrive, but ensuring that organizations change around that, the roles will change. I have been beaten up in my life so many times where as a tech guy you will ask कि, why do you need this requirement? ये business है हमें आपको पता. How can you ask me this question? I'm business, right? And we're saying burning capital out there. Why are you doing it? What is the ROI? Similarly, I think these issues will remain, and I'm happy that I am not a CIO anymore, and you guys are in a much more complicated world as of now. So I have no envy for you. So Prasad, from your perspective, I think largely a role of AI should be about taking it to the newer segments, selling it better, claiming it better, and all of that. So how do you, and again, risk profiling you can do better. So where can you help? Where can you help in better product designs? Just a quick thought, and maybe generically AI, where it can be used.
Sure.
And we are running short of time, so I know we'll be breaching few minutes, but we'll take one or two questions for sure from the people here.
So to start with, the way we began this journey, right, is by, as we rightly the panel mentioned multiple times, is by starting at the core engineering. Because almost all our customers are regulated entities, banks and financial institutions and insurers. So the security, data privacy, data isolation in this AI space become it's all undefined currently. You don't have standards, you don't have things to do given by anybody. So we had to ground up, build these things. And then came the scalability part. How do I utilize these models to actually scale? Then the most important was cost benefit. Now, it has to make sense financially if I'm going to use any of these large language models. So out of the box models may not be cost efficient at scale. So we had to first work a lot on the engineering, core engineering aspects and building this infrastructure. And now that we did, there are two paths through which we are helping the insurance space. So one is in the kind of offerings that we have, whether it is during onboarding or during claims. So during onboarding, it is more of the profiling of the customer to identify their demographic, the risks, and whatever the scoring, right? So where are the plus marks and where are the negatives? And be able to provide that information so earlier it was just an information dump, right? So, and then whether it is an underwriter or a claims assessor, now they have all the information and they have to cross-reference it and come to a decision. Now from there we have moved to, okay, I'm giving you a decision and along with it I'll give you a co-pilot who can actually walk you through the decision, walk you through the details of how you arrived at a particular decision. The final say-so still remains with the underwriter or the assessor, but they now have a co-pilot working with them to be able to guide them to the right decision. The second part where we are working is, I don't know, like maybe about a couple of decades back when the iPhone first came out, they used to have an ad campaign. Okay, so the ad campaign of iPhone was, you need to do this, we have an app for that. Okay, so we have an app for that, was the iPhone ad. So that's how it's got popular. And now it is moving to, we have an agent for that. So you want to do, say, the particular process. Now you explained about the business process. So in the business process, there are multiple stages, multiple steps, and each of them require, again, consolidating information and coming to a decision, right? And this is what an agent does best in the LLM world. So specialized agents, whether it is to do with data aggregation and analytics, whether it is doing with negotiation agents, whether these are decision agents with a decision tree or an orchestration agent, these are building blocks for building the actual platform or the internal use cases that our insurers need. So our focus is, one is the end-to-end solutions and a copilot to help with that. The other is the building blocks, which are the agents that can actually be plugged in as part of the workflow.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So I think I know that the time is over, but we'll take still a few questions here. I think somebody was raising hands. So can we have a mic there, please? Maybe we'll have to take one of them. Yeah, maybe we'll pick it up. You may be thinking it's audible, it is not, okay?
So I'll make it very quick, Prakash from Greta Team. I know this whole discussion is all about predicting with confidence. Okay. Is that a CXO priority today? And if yes, where are we in the industry?
I didn't hear that. You said is stat?
Predict with confidence. That's the whole
Yeah.
aspect. If you
Yeah.
can predict something with confidence, I can integrate it into my process. Is that a CXO priority today within the insurance company? And if yes,
It's a
where are
given. Predict with confidence is given. If you can't have a confidence level of 99, 97%, we will not pick it up. I think the business case itself will fall down because that means I'll have to have a manual team along with, or a manual checker along with a bot. It's just not possible. I have to have that. It's a basic given. Yeah?
Yeah. Any more questions from the team here? Anybody, any audience questions? Yeah. Yeah. No, don't start. I think you'll get a mic.
Hi. So I actually have a question for you, sir. I wanted to ask you that how are we using video AI in motor insurance specifically?
Customer onboarding during the life cycle of the journey, claim understanding, claim process understanding, claim settlement. Video AI is almost hit like 10 plus use cases in the customer life cycle. On the back end, for the call center agents, communication to feet on street, how do we convert a standard message into an audio-visual method of understanding for the agents, for the feet on street, and so there are multiple use cases that it has hit. Specifically in India, where usually the primary language is not Hindi and English. It's essentially Marathi or Tamil or Telugu or Kannada. So I think this diverse number of use cases that we have seen already, and now it's very easily possible to get a 90% message accurate in those regional dialects and diaspora languages. So Vernac is a very, very big use case. I mean, in terms of the language use case, it's a use case, but it is essentially a feature, and it's more hygiene, as Rohit was just saying, that predicting that is a hygiene, and so yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you, sir.
And maybe space for just last one question, right?
So my question is, there are a lot of aggregators like banks who are selling insurance products for a lot of originating insurance companies. And also the fact that underwriting becomes a big play for creating a product at a particular price points. Do you see insurance companies allowing banks who are aggregating to partly underwrite the product or the process? Do you see insurance companies and aggregators working together to kind of, because both are running AI engines now, they have a lot of data of customers who are buying insurance products, they're also buying banking products. Do you see a possibility where insurance companies will allow aggregators to also underwrite?
Who's your question to? What?
I mean, it can be, anyone can answer.
Okay.
Well, I think today it's happening. There are pre-underwritten products that are sold over the counter, OTC. But interesting the way you're saying it. But, I mean, there is a regulatory constraint. Any underwriting has to be done by the insurance carrier. That can never be outsourced, whether it is a digital broker or a bank assurance partner, etc. But given this open architecture and the whole debate about how many players can be in the program, should it be 8, should it be 2, should it be 3? That still is up for debate. But it could be a very interesting one. I've never thought about it that way. But pre-underwritten products are anyway getting sold, and the bank assurance regulations are very clear. Banks can only sell to their existing consumers. You have to have a specified specified person. That person has to have a license yet. Insurance company can only do as much. There's feet on street that we need to put on the table. Bank assurance is also, it doesn't make us money. So there's lots of ifs and buts there, but very definitely worth exploring.
I would like to add, 50% of insurance policies in India, especially in life, is being sold through bank insurance. But bank agents or the bank insurance partners are essentially not owning and collecting the data. It's actually flowing back to the Insurtech or the insurance company. So if any process has to be done at that end, they really do not have that information because it's essentially flowing into the application of the insurance company that they are partnered with. That's what we learned.
No, I think
If you have the risk-reward model, sir, happy to have a separate chat.
I think this model exists, I think, outside India as well. And if you look at it, we come from lending business, right? So lending business has all FLDGs and all of those structures. So I think that's what may be getting pushed. But that also has a different set of risks and regulatory issues, right? So with this, we close. It's interesting to see these kind of questions coming to CIOs and they're responding as well, right? Which is we are in a very different world than Avatar. AI, I think the journey has just started for most of us. The journey will end maybe at one point in time when all of us will not be there and machines will be talking, but till that time we will have these sessions and we'll continue to enjoy and learn from each other, right? Thank you for all the panelists and thank you for amazing audience. Thank you guys.